Jackson swings, hits it in the air, deep to right field. He has done it again. Unbelievable.
Coming up, we'll have a recap of the previous Padres game, a preview of today's starting pitching matchup, our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Mike Shildt.
Ultimately, what we're here to do is win.
From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Today, the Padres take on the San Francisco Giants in the first game of a 4-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Giants, left-hander Robbie Ray, and for the Padres, left-hander Nestor Cortez. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you from inside the Western Metal Building here at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 6:40 as the Padres begin a 7-game homestand, 4 against San Francisco and 3 Friday, Saturday, and Sunday against the LA Dodgers. A lot to do in the next 50 minutes. We'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt coming up in a little bit. I also go one-on-one with Padres reliever David Morgan in the midst of a very, very good rookie season. We hear from Tony Gwynn Jr. in just a little bit, our keys to the game, and much, much more to come. But first, it's time to set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres entered today 69-55. They enter the day 2 games out of first place in the National League West. They currently hold the NL second wild card spot. Giants, meanwhile, entered today 16-64. They beat the Rays yesterday in San Francisco. That snapped a 7-game losing streak since July 12th. The Giants are just 8-21. Before we turn our full attention to today's game, let's quickly recap that series finale yesterday in LA.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Bottom half of the first inning at Dodger Stadium. Yu Darvish on the mound, 2 on base for Freddie Freeman.
Now the 0-2 pitch. Freeman swings, sends it in the air to deep right center field. Jackson Merrill back. He will watch. It's going to go well into the right field pavilion for Freddie Freeman. His 15th home run of the year is a 3-run shot in the bottom of the first inning, and the Dodgers take an early lead, 3-0.
2 batters later, it was Andy Pages.
And the 0-2 launch to left field. Laureano back, he returned to watch, and this one going to go into the left field pavilion for Pages. His 20th, and the Dodgers have hit 2 home runs against Darvish in the bottom of the first inning. They now lead it 4-0.
It would stay 4-0 until the top of the third. Padres chipping away against Tyler Glasnow. It was Fernando Tatis Jr. in the third.
Fernando out to right center field. He's found the gap, and he's got plenty of speed to get to second. Cronenworth jogging home from third, and the Padres with their second double of the day are on the board. Tatis plates Cronenworth, and it's 4-1.
After a scoreless 4th inning, it was Ramon Laureano who led off the top of the 5th.
And this time, a fly ball to deep right field. Hernandez is back. He's at the wall. This one gonna go. How about another for Ramon Laureano? His 4th as a Padre. He stays white hot. And a leadoff homer here in the 5th inning to cut it to 4-2.
It was still 4-2 in the 6th inning. A runner on second base for Ryan O'Hearn.
And O'Hearn hits it in the air deep down the right field line. Hernandez over towards the corner. Not going to get there. It's a fair ball. Hops up towards the side wall. Sheets hustling home to score. An RBI double for O'Hearn. And a 1-run game here in the 6th.
Padres manufactured a run in the top of the 8th inning to tie the game at 4. Robert Suarez entered for the bottom half of the 8th inning. Mookie Betts led off.
And Betts sends it in the air to deep left field. Sheets is back at the wall. Gonna go. So after the Padres work all day long to chip away and tie it up, it takes Mookie Betts only 3 pitches to put the Dodgers back ahead. His 13th home run of the season, and LA leads 5-4.
That home run was the deciding swing. Final score, Dodgers 5, Padres 4. The Padres, who entered LA on a 5-game winning streak and winners of 14 out of 17 games. They get swept by the Dodgers in a 3-game series. The first time the Padres were swept since mid-May. And now the Padres look to turn the page here today as they welcome in the San Francisco Giants. Let's go inside the Jerry Coleman Broadcast Center.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Tony Gwynn Jr. in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Attention to this series and this homestand. Obviously, it was a frustrating weekend for the Padres in LA. I suppose, how do you look back on the weekend as the Padres start anew here tonight?
I look at the weekend as really what it was. The Padres didn't play well, and I don't think they could expect to win any of those games, maybe outside of game one. I think that one could have gone either way. If Manny makes that diving play, I think they possibly walk out of there with that win. But as it turned out, games 2, games 3, whether it was the walk in the air or, Yu Darvish getting off to having a rough go of it through that, when he gave it a 3-run homer. Outside of that, he was good. But against the Dodgers, I don't know that you're given that kind of leeway most of the time. And if you make that many mistakes, that's how it's going to look.
Yeah, you and Jesse talk about it all the time when the Padres play the Dodgers. If you give them opportunities, they will so often take advantage of those situations. It felt a little like that over the weekend, but good news. It's baseball, a new day today, and a new series against the San Francisco Giants. Left-hander Nestor Cortes on the mound for the Padres today, his third start for San Diego. Had a pretty good outing in that Padres debut in Arizona. Solid outing against the Giants last Tuesday. 4 2/3 innings, 1 earned run given up. Tony, what have been your early impressions of Nestor Cortes?
I think my early impressions has been the fact that he does such a terrific job really controlling the tempo, at least the first 2 games. And he wasn't necessarily, I don't think he's at his best yet. He hasn't pitched a lot of baseball this year, but he's got the chops for it. He's been able to pitch in some of these bigger moments, big time of the year, and pitch well. And I thought the first 2 starts were really positive signs. I thought he was better in that Giants start versus the Arizona start. And you just hope that he can continue to improve the way he has the first 2 starts.
As far as the other side of this pitching matchup, Robbie Ray on the mound for the Giants. Padres saw him last week in San Francisco. Did a pretty good job against them. 6 innings, 4 runs given up. What will be the key today for this Padres lineup to get to Robbie Ray, at least get some runs against them today, because otherwise he's had a very good year?
I think for the Padres, it's really about getting back to more discipline at bats. I think that's the other thing that we kind of overlooked, I think, in that Dodgers series is the thing the Dodgers didn't do. They didn't chase. Padres did more of that. And I think against a guy like Robbie Ray, you got to get him in the zone, because if you can get him in the zone, I think as we saw in that last start, the Padres can have some success. But if they start chasing, especially that high fastball he likes to work with, start chasing that, it can be a long night. Robbie Ray is a Cy Young Award winner, so he has that type of stuff. And I think the Padres, for their part offensively, want to get back to some more discipline at bats.
Tony, let's talk about the offense a little bit. Couple of guys in particular. I'll start with Manny. Obviously, it's been a rough stretch for Manny in the month of August. He had a particularly tough day yesterday, 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position, 0 for 5 total. To you, is there something going on with Manny mechanically, approach-wise, or is this just the guy going through a slump?
I think it's just a guy going through a slump. Can we think of another one that he's had this year? I can't really.
He's been great.
He's been that solid all year long, and he's waited till mid-August or the month of August to start to going having that little bit of a slump. But I don't worry about Manny Machado. I think of all the guys on this roster, maybe outside of Luis Arraez, you just know what you're going to get. You absolutely feel good about it once he gets it going again. And his track record would say, as this gets closer and closer to September, he's going to start to be at his best again. And we'll get to see, as we've seen Manny do all season long, hit.
I'll ask a similar question about Fernando Tatis Jr. Obviously, he has not hit a home run in a while. He talked yesterday about not hitting the ball in the air. Similar question there, Tony, is there anything that he can do in your eyes to hit the ball in the air more? Your thoughts on kind of what Fernando's doing right now, because on one hand, he's not hitting home runs. On the other hand, the on-base percentage continues to be very, very high.
Yeah, I mean, it's a conundrum a little bit for Toddy. I personally, when I watched Toddy, I liked him early in the season when his mechanics were much more simpler. You know, he was getting down earlier, and it gave him the latitude to be able to adjust that way. You know, he's kind of gone back and forth between a higher leg kick, a modified leg kick. Either way, it seems like it's very difficult for him to get the timing on it consistent. We see pockets of time where he is unbelievable, but then we see pockets of time where it's tough for him to manage it. And for my taste, and I think his best version was what we saw early when that foot was down and he had time to kind of make the swing decisions, make pitch recognition decisions. But, you know, ultimately he has to go what makes him comfortable. And it seems like that kind of modified leg kick is where he settled at.
Tony, good insight as always. We'll talk to you and Jesse coming up at 6:30. Thanks so much. All right, that was Tony Gwynn Jr. joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game. First pitch coming up at 6:40 between the Padres and the San Francisco Giants. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Plus, a little bit later, I go one-on-one with Padres reliever David Morgan. Much, much more to do on our pregame coverage from inside the Western Metal Building here at Petco Park. We return to downtown San Diego after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the loft here at the Western Metal Building at Petco Park. First pitch coming up at 6:40 between the Padres and the San Francisco Giants. Game 1 of this 4-game series and a 7-game homestand. Believe it or not, the final homestand in the month of August. The next homestand the Padres have, it's going to be September. We are coming down the final stretch of this regular season. Padres, after a tough weekend in LA, they entered today 2 games out of first place in the National League West. A look at the Padres starting lineup today looks like this. Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field leading off. Luis Arraez at first base batting second. Manny Machado, the DH, batting third. Ramon Laureano in left field batting cleanup. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop batting fifth. Jose Iglesias at third base batting sixth. Freddie Fermin, the catcher, batting seventh. Jake Cronenworth at second base batting eighth. And Bryce Johnson in center field and batting ninth, with Nestor Cortes on the mound. Robbie Ray on the mound for the Giants. And a couple of notes on the lineup today. Jackson Merrill out of the lineup today after coming out of yesterday's game. You'll hear about that from Mike Shildt in just a moment. And we'll hear from Mike Shildt on some other aspects of the lineup. Ryan O'Hearn in this pregame press conference as well. Let's hear from the Padres skipper.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Served up by Sin Lee Food, where fresh meets flavor. Find farm fresh produce, bold Asian spices, and gourmet ingredients at 4665 El Cajon Boulevard. Sin Lee Food, the cook's Asian resource.
Mike, it's always good to get back, but you were some pretty enemy territory for the last week. How nice is it to have them get a taste of Petco Park now?
Yeah, no, it's good to be back in the friendly confines of Petco Park. I mean, we love playing here, and, we like playing baseball, period. But, it was a good week to go over and play some people, but it's really good to get home and be in front of the faithful.
Yeah. Jackson Merrill out in the lineup today, assuming it's the ankle. What can you tell us about his situation at this point?
It is the ankle. Still trying to process, the severity of it. Had a, decent day with it to this point, evaluating whether he'll be available for anything at all, which we're not certain about right now, and then just evaluating, whether it's more day-to-day or something longer.
As far as Ramon Laureano moving up the lineup, is that something that might have happened anyway, or is it more of a result of Jackson not being in there, or a combination of both?
I think it's a product of us facing a lefty and Jackson not being in the lineup.
As far as facing the lefty, you just saw him not too long ago. How much does that help even against a guy that's as tough as Robbie Ray?
Yeah, listen, I mean, the game will tell us, but, typically the pitching, the more batters get a chance to see pitching, usually it's a positive for the hitter. So we'll see. We'll have a good play tonight. It'll matter going to execute it.
What have you liked about Nestor so far? And it seems like he continues to progress, and the assumption would be that would continue the more outings that he gets after missing a lot of time.
Yeah, I think that's right. He's missed some time, but he's getting literally his legs under him. It's one thing I talked to Ruben about after the last outing, felt like that was happening with him. He's a veteran guy. He's pitched a long time and knows how to pitch, and now he's got the health, which feels like is in a good place, and he's feeling good. Now it's just a matter of just executing his pitches, which he has a lot of.
Have you ruled out IL for Jackson?
Have we ruled it out?
Is that still a possibility, just based on how he progresses?
We'll know more today. So I can't say definitively one way. We're just going to evaluate day to day and go from there.
Do you have an update on Michael King?
I don't. I'd like to get one because he's just in the process of doing a bullpen. So I'm curious to see how he feels and comes through it.
What needs to go right in that bullpen then?
Just not feeling anything in his knee. Michael's arms is going to be fine, and his pitchability is always going to be there, and him getting the ability to get through it pain-free is going to be the biggest thing.
Like Ryan O'Hearn's had some pretty good numbers against lefties this season. Would you consider starting him against lefties, or is that you do him as a bench bat against left-handed pitching?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. Where would you have started him?
Places, there's options.
Right.
Necessarily like today or generally?
Today.
It's your call, not mine.
No, I'm just curious. He's done fine. It's more about the reason I ask is I can answer the question more specifically, not.
Okay, well, then today there's two options, maybe left and Laureano center, or DH, but obviously Manny's there today.
He is there today. So Manny's been going pretty hard, and he's played up pretty much every game, so we're giving him a DH day. And Bryce has also swung the bat well against lefties, and looking him to get an opportunity to go play and play some center field. So it's a really fair question and definitely consideration. Just want to be specific to where that could have been. But, Ryan's done a nice job, and he is a great option for us off the bench.
Going forward, could we see that? Like, obviously, it's day-to-day, completely dependent. But.
Yeah, I think it's always going to be flexible. I mean, it's going to be relative to just the total picture of who we have on the club that day. So I think that's like every day, it's always a question of who's going to give us the best opportunity to go compete.
Freddie remained back out there today. No rest for him. How well has he acclimated to the pitching staff in the short time he's been?
I think Freddie's done great. We got him for a reason. That was to go catch, and so he's turned into an everyday catcher that is handling it. I thought he did a really nice job in the series we just got through playing. That went out and played aggressively. Was into the competition. Made adjustments where necessary. So I think Freddie's done a great job for us, and we're really happy to have him.
Final homestand of August was kind of remarkable. Does every series, just 38 games left, does every single series seem to have even more urgency as you guys go along?
The urgency word is interesting because I was talking to a couple staff and players today. I mean, really, ultimately, urgency's every day in this business for me. I don't have any less or more urgency on April 10th or May 12th or June 28th or even February 15th. The urgency of a day-to-day big league schedule is just that, because it's a cumulative season. And I feel like if you've gotten to a point at the end of August, you need to feel like you're doing to do something different or better, you're probably not in a good place.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt earlier today inside the Padres dugout. We'll hear more from Mike on our post-game coverage coming up later on this evening. Ramon Laureano with Jackson Merrill out of the lineup today, moved up to the cleanup spot and in left field, and Laureano has been just terrific for the Padres. He's homered in 3 of his last 4 games. He's hitting 339 with 9 extra base hits, 12 RBIs, 11 runs scored in 15 games since joining San Diego. He's also been very good in his career against Robbie Ray, 7 for 12 with 2 doubles and a home run against Ray in his career. So we'll see how Ramon Laureano impacts tonight's game. Sam Levitt with you inside the Western Metal Building here at Petco Park as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:40. Let's take you around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
Phillies ace Zach Wheeler had surgery earlier today to remove a blood clot in his upper right arm. The Phillies still say a timeline for his recovery is unknown, and obviously a very serious situation there, and still a lot of unknown, it sounds like, as far as whether Wheeler will be able to pitch again this season. So we'll see what the updates are in the days to come on Zach Wheeler, who again had surgery earlier today to remove a blood clot in his upper right arm. The Cubs are likely to give right fielder Kyle Tucker multiple days off after going 0 for 4 in game 1 of a doubleheader today against the Brewers. Tucker's having a really rough go of it as of late. He's hitting 160 in August with no extra base hits, getting booed at Wrigley Field lately. Craig Counsell, Cubs manager, earlier today said, quote, he's frustrated and we're not coming up with solutions for him, and he's not coming up with solutions. Sometimes you have to take some steps back to go forward again. So it sounds like Kyle Tucker will get a couple of games off. First baseman Nathaniel Lowe signed with the Boston Red Sox earlier today. Lowe was DFA'd by the Nationals earlier this month. And that's a quick look at some of the latest headlines from around the major leagues. When we come back, I go one-on-one with Padres reliever David Morgan. Plus, we have our keys to today's game, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and much, much more to do. First pitch at 6:40 as the Padres begin a 4-game series against the Giants and a 7-game homestand here in downtown San Diego. We're back in a moment on the Padres Radio Network. The EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal, your water should be perfect. Sam Levitt with you here inside the Western Metal Building at Petco Park as we get ready for today's game. First pitch coming up at 6:40 between the Padres and the San Francisco Giants. Couple of southpaws going at it today. Left-hander Nestor Cortez on the mound for San Diego and left-hander Robbie Ray on the mound for San Francisco. Well, we have a lot to do here as we get ready for this series opener. We'll hear from David Morgan. I go one-on-one with the Padres rookie reliever in just a little bit. But first, let's give you the latest updates on both Jackson Merrill and Michael King.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit them up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Well, Jackson Merrill out of the lineup today for the Padres. He's dealing with that left ankle injury. He rolled it on Friday night coming out of the batter's box. He has been limping a little bit, and he came out of the game yesterday in LA after a few innings, and he was held out of the lineup today. We'll see if Jackson is available at all off the bench in this one, but he is out of the starting lineup dealing with that left ankle injury that he hurt on Friday night. Michael King did throw a bullpen today. King dealing with that left knee inflammation. And King did speak to reporters very briefly today as he went back inside the clubhouse, and he said everything felt great. So that's the latest I have for you on Michael King. He did throw a bullpen today here at Petco Park, and we'll see what the updates are on Michael King in the days to come. So that's the latest on Merrill, the latest on King, and hopefully this is nothing too serious for Jackson Merrill. Hopefully nothing that would include an IL stint. We'll see what the updates are in the days to come on Jackson Merrill. Obviously a very, very important player to the Padres outfield. Well, another very important player to the Padres this season has been rookie right-hander David Morgan. What a year it's been for Morgan, a 1.85 ERA in 29 appearances in his rookie campaign. He struck out 33 in 34 innings. I caught up with David Morgan earlier today inside the Padres clubhouse. Sam Levitt here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game. And right now I'm joined by Padres reliever David Morgan. Well, David, before we get into anything relating to you pitching in the major leagues, let's revisit your early days playing baseball. They had the Little League Classic in Williamsport yesterday. Pretty fun to see that game between the Mets and the Mariners. And always is a good time to sort of reminisce on the early days of playing ball. What are your earliest memories of playing as a kid in Little League?
Yeah, I mean, obviously T-ball, played in a rec league when I was probably about 4 years old. I remember I would always beg my parents, to start playing T-ball, but I was too little. I joined a rec league. I think I played for like the Mariners or something. T-ball, and kind of, kids all over the place, no one really playing a position, and then kind of got into it and just fell in love with it right away.
What was the feeling like for you as you started, you said it, kind of falling in love with the game? What do you feel like as a kid you loved about the game?
I think just competing. I think when you're little and you're good at something, you kind of stick with it and run with it. But yeah, just competing at a young age. I had two older brothers, who always pushed me and kind of beat me around a little bit. So to kind of get to do that on the field and do it with my friends was kind of the reason why.
And you have such an interesting journey to this point in a baseball sense. We've talked about it before, being a position player in college and then really transitioning into a full-time pitcher in professional baseball. I would assume back then in Little League, you were more of a position player type guy?
Yeah, in Little League, I did both. I think I pitched and played shortstop up until I was about 12. And then from 12 until I was 22, I didn't touch the mound. So, yeah.
Which is so unbelievable when you see what you're doing now. So let's bring it to present day. Obviously, you've had a terrific rookie season in this bullpen. As you kind of, we're a long way from the end of the year, but as you kind of look back on what you've done to this point, how would you sum up the experience in the bullpen so far?
It's been awesome. I mean, I've said this before, but the relationships that we have out there, the friendships I've built, that's been the biggest thing. I think it's pretty expected of us to compete and perform at a high level. So I expected that from myself. I hold myself to that standard. But the best part of it's been the friendships and relationships I've made out there.
Have you had time to reflect on the journey to this point? I mean, you're a guy who was signed as an undrafted free agent. You transition into a pitcher really in professional baseball, and now you're putting up great numbers at the major league level. Have you had time to kind of reflect on how cool this whole thing is?
Yeah, a little bit. I've thought about it a bit, but I try not to dive too deep into that. I kind of, put that aside and just keep performing and keep doing it.
Obviously, the stuff is really good and it's played really well in the major leagues. But beyond the stuff, what do you feel like has been the key for you day to day?
I think just the work ethic and preparation each day, doing my homework, studying hitters off the field. I think it's expected of us to work hard every day physically, but the mental aspect of it and taking care of myself off the field to be ready every day.
As far as work ethic, preparation, taking care of yourself off the field, there are a lot of veterans on this pitching staff, both in the rotation and the bullpen. Is there anybody in particular that has influenced you since you got to the big leagues?
Yeah, I think all of them have their little bit that they have, but Joe Musgrove is a huge one. I watch him work in the weight room every day. He's not even playing this year, and he's one of the most prepared guys every single day. We've talked about that. To know that he's not going to pitch and to have the preparation that he still has is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting answer considering Joe is not playing right now as he rehabs from Tommy John surgery. Obviously, Joe, also like you, San Diego guy, grew up a Padres fan. I would imagine that's something you share.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, really cool. We're joined by David Morgan here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for today's game. To you, what stands out about this bullpen from a stuff standpoint? Obviously, a lot of high-octane guys. You're one of them down there. What stands out to you sort of as a collective from what you guys continue to do?
Something I've seen is the preparation throughout the game. Obviously, the way our bullpen is set up, kind of stacked on top of each other with the road guys and then us. Seeing the way that our guys prepare throughout the game is a lot different than what I see from other bullpens. From inning 1 to inning 9, guys are moving around ready to go.
Yeah, it's a pretty unique situation right now because there is so much talent and you guys have so much optionality, versatility in that bullpen. I mean, you're looking at it. There's been situations where you got Jason Adam, one of the best relievers in the game, coming in the 5th inning. How do you prepare for an appearance that could come really early, but an appearance that could certainly come in the later innings as well?
Yeah, I've had those conversations with our pitching coaches. I have to be ready the whole time. There's times that I'm up in the 1st inning moving around, and then I'm not pitching until the 8th, 9th, sometimes even extra innings. So, I do my preparation pregame, kind of take that into the game, and then just kind of continue on throughout the day.
David, really good insight on your year so far, on your early days playing baseball as well. Appreciate the time. Keep up the terrific work, and we'll catch up with you again down the road. Thanks so much.
Right on. Thank you.
That was Padres rookie reliever David Morgan earlier today inside the Padres clubhouse. Sam Levitt back with you inside the Western Metal Building here at Petco Park as we walk you up towards first pitch coming up at 6:40. Series opener between the Padres and the San Francisco Giants. The West Divisional Showdown against San Francisco is presented by Palomar Health, reimagining healthcare. Let's give you our keys to today's game.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by El Centro Motors Ford. Meet your new Ford General Manager, Greg Ryan, now at El Centro Motors Ford, your new Ford truck, Bronco, and SUV HQ. Call Greg directly at 619-944-0774.
Key number 1 here tonight, rev up the run production. The Padres scored just 6 runs total in the 3-game series against the Dodgers. They went just 3 for 20 with runners in scoring position in those 3 games. And let's talk about a couple of guys. I talked about him with Tony a little bit earlier. Manny Machado, he's batting just .207 in 15 games since August began. No home runs and 1 RBI in the month of August. He went 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position yesterday, and it's just 1 for his last 12 with runners in scoring position. Machado is sitting .371 with 6 RBIs in 9 games against the Giants this season. Bottom line, Padres need Manny to get going. Fernando Tatis Jr., no home runs in his last 20 games and 97 plate appearances, the longest stretch of his career without a home run. And one thing that was on display this weekend, the power of the home run ball. The Padres' 105 home runs are second fewest in the major leagues this season, getting more power from Fernando, from Manny, certainly would go a very long way. Key number 2, capitalize on a team that does not like left-handers. The Giants rank last in the majors with a .606 OPS against left-handed pitchers this year. A couple of their key guys have really struggled against lefties. Matt Chapman is batting .237 with just 1 home run against lefties this season. Willie Adames is hitting .167 against left-handed pitching. But Matt Chapman not in the lineup today for the San Francisco Giants. Willie Adames is in the lineup for San Francisco. Key number 3, slow down the grandson of the win. That's the nickname Jung-Hoo Lee had in Korea. He's played very, very well as of late. Lee has reached base safely in 14 of 15 games this month, hitting .339 in the month of August. And another guy to watch for the Giants, Dom Smith, and he is not in the lineup today against the left-hander, but certainly somebody you could see later in the game against a righty. He has a hit in 18 of his last 19 games, batting .338 with 13 RBIs in that span, and controlling Dominic Smith, Jung-Hoo Lee, certainly keys in tonight's game. And that's a look at our keys to the game as the Padres begin this 4-game series against the Giants. We'll step aside when we come back. A full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, what to watch for in today's game, and we take a look at today's starting pitching matchup between Robbie Ray and Nestor Cortes. Our pregame coverage continues from Petco Park after this on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside the Western Metal Building here at Petco Park as we get ready for today's game. First pitch coming up at 6:40. We send things out to Jesse Agler and Tony Gwynn Jr. in under 10 minutes. They'll have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
We have a couple of finals already today. Tigers beat the Astros in Detroit 10-0. Brewers beat the Cubs in a doubleheader. Game 1 of that doubleheader, 7-0 in Chicago. Game 2 of that doubleheader was postponed. They'll make that up tomorrow as part of a doubleheader at Wrigley Field. Games going on right now. Cardinals and the Marlins in Miami. In the 9th inning, Cardinals leading 8-3. The Pirates lead the Blue Jays 5-2 in Pittsburgh in the 9th inning. Phillies beating up on the Mariners 12-4 in Philadelphia in the 9th. Orioles beating the Red Sox 4-1 at Fenway in the 8th inning. White Sox beating the Braves 10-1 in Atlanta in the 6th inning. Royals 4, Angels 1 in Kansas City in the 5th inning. Dodgers leading the Rockies 2-0 in the 3rd in Colorado. Games yet to begin. Reds in Anaheim against the Angels at 6:38. Guardians and the Diamondbacks in Arizona at 6:40. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Monday evening. Let's tell you what to watch for in tonight's game.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
What to watch for in today's game? Well, what Giants offense shows up today? Well, the Giants have been just brutal at home lately. They've lost 15 of 16 at home. They've actually been far better on the road as of late. They've won 3 straight road series against the Braves, Mets, and Pirates. One reason for that is their offense, and more specifically, Rafael Devers. The Giants are averaging almost 7 runs per game in those 3 consecutive series wins on the road, and Rafael Devers has an 845 OPS in 22 road games with the Giants. His OPS at home so far in San Francisco is just 677. So what to watch for in tonight's game? What offense shows up? Is it the really, really bad offense the Giants have played so often this year, or is it going to be the offense they've had on the road as of late, which has just been totally different than how they've played at home? And also a note, like we said, Matt Chapman is not in the lineup today for the Giants. He's dealing with a hand issue, and so the report earlier today was that Chapman is feeling better after getting a cortisone shot. He'll do defensive work today. Could swing a bat tomorrow, could be back as soon as this weekend for the Giants. But Chapman dealing with a hand injury. He's out of the lineup today for the Giants. And that's a look at a interesting aspect of this game. See what kind of Giants offense shows up in this one as we get ready for first pitch coming up at 6:40. Let's dive into today's starting pitching matchup. Left-hander Nestor Cortes on the mound for San Diego and left-hander Robbie Ray on the mound for San Francisco.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Quick look at our starting pitching matchup today. Nestor Cortes on the mound for the Padres. 2 starts so far with San Diego, a 2.89 ERA in 9 innings and a third. This will be Cortes' first home start as a Padre in the brown and gold. Last start against the Giants on Tuesday of last week, he was good. 4 2/3 innings, 1 earned run given up, 6 hits. He struck out 6, walked 1 on 79 pitches. Meanwhile, left-hander Robbie Ray on the mound for the Giants. Ray comes in a 9-6 record, 2.98 ERA, 25 starts, 148 innings, 152 strikeouts, and 56 walks. His last start against the Padres on Tuesday of last week, he went 6 innings, 4 runs given up. Jose Iglesias hit a 2-run home run against him, and Iglesias back in the lineup today, batting 6th and playing third base. He pitched against the Padres in early June, allowed 2 runs in 7 innings. And that's a quick look at our starting pitching matchup tonight between Robbie Ray and Nestor Cortes. The West Divisional Showdown against San Francisco is presented by Palomar Health, reimagining healthcare. And as always, we appreciate you tuning in to our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show. EcoWater SoCal keeping it soft. Since 1925, your water should be perfect. Well, obviously, it was a very tough weekend for the Padres in LA. They got swept in a 3-game series by the Dodgers. So the Padres entered today a record of 69-55. They entered today 2 games out of first place in the National League West. They hold the NL second wild card spot. Meanwhile, the Giants come in 60-64. They snapped a 7-game losing streak by beating the Rays yesterday in San Francisco. Padres trying to get things back on track and trying to start this 7-game homestand on a high note. We'll see if they can do that here today with Nestor Cortes on the mound. When we come back, it's Jesse Agler and Tony Gwynn Jr. They have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.